Welcome to LNP Renewable System Integrators. Today we are going to see some of the steps to choose a PLC controller. So we have 9 steps to choose a PLC controller. Apart from it, we are going to know the thumb rule for choosing the memory sizes for the I/O devices. So the first step is that you need to know about the proposed system, whether your system is a new one or already existing one. It means either you have to install it from the scratch or it is already existing, we need to modify it. And most importantly, whenever you plan in an existing system or a new system, make sure it is compatible with the new components. Because if you're trying to choose a new product while making a research, it will save your time and the money. The second point is environmental issues. The controller that you're going to choose should be matchable with your application. Say for example, maybe for a building automation system, it might be working in an external environment. Maybe in we have a chiller rooms, we have a cooling facilities, everything we have. But if you go for factories, that too, where the temperature is highly involved, where dust is highly involved, where there is a possibility for more vibrations, in such places, you need to choose your controllers wisely for that one, because they should be capable of withstanding the external environments, dust, vibrations, etc. So all the controllers are being designed with the specific codes based on their environmental conditions. Make sure it satisfies your environmental issues. Step number 3, you need to know how many discrete devices you're going to have for your systems. Means how many digital input you are going to have, how many digital outputs you're going to have. That thing you have to decide. And make sure the controller that you're going to choose will support the IOs that you planned. Next step is that how many analog devices your system will have. It means because there is a possibility for you to measure a voltage, current, temperature, pressure, etc. So you need to choose the analog devices for that particular purpose, because for voltage measuring we need to have a separate input device, for current measuring we need to have a separate device, for the temperature measuring we need to have a sensor, for RTD we have a different purpose. So all these input devices you need to choose wisely. For that you need to choose your controller wisely. Next step is that apart from it, there is a possibility for us to command certain thing. So in such occasions we need the output module. So we need to choose the output modules properly. We used to control external devices, field devices, using the voltage or sometimes with the help of current. In such occasions, based on that, we have to choose our analog input and the output devices. Next, we need to determine whether our system requires any special features, because for certain applications we need to do the counting process, we need to do the positioning process. In such occasions, will our controller will satisfy all these needs, or we need to add any new add-ons or controllers for that one. And make sure it have a real-time clock facility. Otherwise we need to add it externally. And in certain occasions, for the stepper application, servo applications, we need to have a separate controllers. So we need to make sure whether your module that you're going to choose has any special features, all the special features with regards to your applications. Next, step number 6 is that CPU. What type of CPU you're going to choose? How much memory will your system require? How many devices you're going to connect? How large is your program? And what type of instructions will your program includes? Which is going to determine the programming memory, and how fast your scan time do you need. So in general, we have two different classifications of memory, that is data memory and the program memory. Data memory is nothing but the amount of memory needed for the dynamic data manipulation and storage in the system. Whereas next we are going to see about the thumb rule for assigning or choosing the memory for digital devices and the analog devices. Means if you want to choose a digital device, a single digital device will occupy a memory of 5 words. If you're going to choose an analog device, and single analog device will occupies a memory of 25 words. This is the thumb rule for the IO devices. And as we told earlier, so program memory is nothing but the amount of memory needed to store the sequence of programming instructions, okay, that performs the selected applications, okay. And also, you know, for the instructions to work, we need a specific amount of programming memory. And also we need to choose the CPU processors for that one, because some CPUs might be good at processing the Boolean logics, some might be slow at handling the analog values. So you need to choose your controller wisely for your applications. All these counters, timers, instructions uses the data memory, okay, whereas the instruction, the ladder logic that you are going to design will occupy the programming memory. So we need to, considering all these things, we need to choose our CPU. Next is that IO locations, because controller location we can fix, okay, but field devices, okay, all the output devices, input devices, we need to connect with the fields. So it is not sure that they will be located in the ideal single place. So for that one, make sure where your devices, input devices are located, where your output devices are located, where is the field, how long will it is, okay. In all these details we need to choose, because if it is a local one, then we can connect with the local module or local panel itself. Sometimes they might be located at the remote locations. In such occasions, we need to design, we need to go for the remote IOs. Step number 8 is the communication, okay. Determine your communication requirement, okay. What sort of communication you're going to use, whether you need Ethernet communication, or whether you need to communicate with the PLC to PLC, or you're going for a serial communication like Modbus, or other communications like Profibus, Profinet. So know your system properly. For based on that, you choose your communication, because if you're going to choose a controller which will not communicate with your field device, then there is no use of choosing that device. So in such places, please choose your controller wisely, or if you want to add some add-ons or modules along with that in order to communicate with that particular field devices, choose that one, plan that one, like that. Choose your communication wisely. Step number 9 is your programming. So determining your programming requirements, okay. Does your application requires any traditional programming, or you need special instructions, okay. Choose a model that supports all the instructions that you need for a specific application. For example, you want to do a PID logic, PID function for your application, make sure your controller has this facility. Otherwise, you need to add the special devices for the PID programming. So make sure the controller that you're going to choose satisfies your application perfectly. So as we told earlier, let's try to have a summary. So the first most important step is that you need to know about your proposed system, and you need to have a clear idea about the environmental issues that you're going to face in your field. Third thing is that you need to know how many digital input and digital output devices you're going to connect. For that, you need to have a field analysis. And fourth, you need to know, make sure how many analog input and analog input devices, output devices you're going to connect. And most importantly, is there any application specific controller you have to choose or not? That thing you have to decide. And point number 6 is that, so what sort of CPU you're going to choose, okay, because based on the number of IOs, based on the data memory and the program memory, you're going to choose the CPU. And next thing is that IO locations. So whether you need to have a local controller is sufficient to handle the IOs, or you need any remote IOs. So those things you need to decide. And step number 8 is that how you're going to communicate with your system, what sort of communication you're going to establish. And fifth step is that you're going to program. So let us try to have an example here. See here, we have a pressure sensor, we have a manual push button, we have a temperature switch, and we have a motor. See here, the motor is an output device, okay, and this temperature switch will act as an input device, and the pressure switch will act as an input device, and this manual push button is also an input device. So we have 3 digital inputs and a 1 output. So based on these 3 devices, we are going to control this motor. So our program will covers 3 digital inputs and 1 digital output, okay. Say for example, in the same place of this temperature sensor and the pressure sensor, if we have any analog devices, maybe if we have a temperature device, okay, which produces an output in the range of 4 to 20 milliamps, then we have to go for an analog module, so analog input module. Okay, and if you have any pressure sensor, okay, pressure transmitters which produces an output of 4 to 20 milliamps, then we have to go for an analog input device. See, so this is how you have to design your controller. So this is how your input based on your digital and the analog input devices, and based on your memory, you're going to choose a required controller for it. Thank you so much. Please subscribe. Please press the bell icon. To know more and learn more, feel free to contact us. Okay, we're ready to help you. So we provide design, installation, testing and commissioning, and most importantly consultancy support for all the building automation and home automation, and most importantly industrial automation as well. And also we provide design, installation, testing and commissioning support for solar power plant. Thank you.